You're Patrick Bateman.
You are Peter Michaels.
For today.
And this is The Road, the Stage. Congrats.
Summer's flying by, is it not? Like, does it feel like things are going quick?
It's flying by, especially because we both have trips coming up.
That's right.
Vacations. Well, yours is...
Mine is...
kind of a vacation. Anyways, you're leaving here in a few days. I'm leaving here in a couple of weeks. But we're still going to be coming at you with new episodes of The Road, the Stage every Wednesday, broadcast from Communal Creative Studios here in Red Deer, Alberta.
It's the hardest working podcast in podcast business.
Well, that is one hell of a statement.
That's the stamp. You can put it right there. Put that on a T-shirt.
That is up for dispute. What's going on?
Just getting ready for a trip out to Ontario, which is what you're going to be doing as well.
Yeah.
Was hoping to catch, so music is happening again. And actually, we're in London on Friday night, and the Trews are playing.
They're playing in London?
In London on Friday night.
What kind of show?
It's at a winery.
Okay, so it's outdoors.
So it's an outdoor, it's tables, everything's separated.
Yeah.
And so we're just, in Alberta, it's just the switch was flipped and everything was over and back to normal.
And we'll see what happens.
But so they're doing, it's cool. It's at a winery. I wish we could go, but you have to buy tables of 6.
Oh, for $1,500?
Yeah, it's not quite. It's $125 a ticket. So 7, 8, whatever.
I was a little
you do
off.
the math.
I was a little off.
Still a little pricey for a night
totally.
out on a vacation.
Well,
man,
also, can you take your family to a winery?
As soon as I saw the price, and I'm like, nope, not going to sell that one on the wife.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you've seen plenty of shows in Toronto and the Toronto area, right?
Yeah,
so shows in Hamilton before, or
never Hamilton. Mostly all just around Toronto, and then so my son's going to school in London, and there's a lot of really great venues. London's a great music city as well, but unfortunately, he spent the last 11 months there, and no shows.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, he'll be able to get out there eventually to, I don't know, reclaim the missing opportunities of nightlife and big city happenings that he never had. It is a shame that you won't be able to see any live music there. I mean, I'm going there a couple weeks after. I don't think I don't know about a single show that's happening while I'm there. So I just haven't done the research. I assumed that I wouldn't be going to concerts.
And a lot of stuff that's happening is kind of like one-off festivally kind of things. I think the Trews are actually still even doing virtual shows. Or have been even up to the last week or so. So I think there's still some virtual shows going. So
not here in Alberta.
Might have just missed it. Yeah, here in Alberta with the Calgary Stampede had nightly shows going.
Yeah. Well, I will say we did last week or a couple weeks ago. I saw my first taste of live music in a year and a half with Shred Kelly at Bose. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed the break from live music. About a year ago, I didn't have a problem taking a break from seeing live shows. All right. And when I was getting ready to go see that show, part of me was like, okay, like I don't know if I missed this as much as everyone else did. Yeah, I was wrong. It was pretty good.
What would you say? How many shows would you go to on average in a year? If you probably don't keep track, but if you had to guess
in a year
on average.
I mean, usually at least a couple a month, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was pretty selective, I think. But I also, I don't know. I don't have a number for that. I think it fluctuated, but definitely at least a couple a month, if not a few. And years before that, it would have been 1 or 2 a week usually. But sometimes you just had easier access to shows, right?
I went from the year before the pandemic, so 2019, I had 53 shows. So was averaging about 1 a week.
In 2019.
Wow. And then none.
Yeah,
like
nothing.
I was dying. It was so good.
But it was fine. You did all right.
No. Well, there was a lot of I did some live streams,
Yep.
a lot of concert like DVDs and stuff, which have sat on a shelf for however many years and brought a lot of that out. And then also, I don't know if we've ever talked about your feelings on recording shows, getting your phone out and recording some clips or whatever of shows. But that's always been kind of shit on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. But I was glad. I had a few on my phone that I actually, over the last year, kind of went through and relived.
And they sounded all right?
No. But again, when you're desperate and you've got nothing, you'll take it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I've never done that. I haven't. That's another reason why I think people shit on taking videos with your phones at shows is because most people never
go
back and watch that again. And I think for the most part, I'm in that camp. Sometimes I'll get pictures of like, hey, don't forget 2 years ago you took this picture at a show. But I'm definitely not standing or sitting at a show with my phone out the whole time, unless I think it's vibrating, which it does every 30 seconds, it feels like anyways.
Wow.
But I maybe I should go back and watch to see if there's any footage from previous shows. Can't remember. I definitely didn't take any of the Glorious Sons of Black Pistol Fire, which would have been the last show I was at.
Yeah, no, I don't have any from that. So, and I'll allow myself once.
What is your favorite concert film?
That's the tough one. Like, I mean, obviously they have the last show in Kingston from a few years ago. Is it National Celebration?
Okay.
A National Celebration.
Okay.
But they also have That Night in Toronto, which is great.
How old is that? That's like 90s or 2000s?
No, that would have been
something?
2002.
Okay.
2004. What else is a go-to? Metallica, the one that they filmed in Vancouver, is a great concert film through the Never.
Movie,
That's the movie. One. So that actually tells the story through the concert.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'll watch just about everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, the band, The Last Waltz is an easy answer.
Yeah.
But it is great.
Mm-hmm. No, that one's fantastic. I haven't done that in a long time either. I haven't put on a concert film. It's been ages.
I do have. I don't know if you count it as a concert film. When the Grateful Dead took the train. The train to? Is it Marrakesh?
I have no idea.
That's the one my dad loved.
Okay.
And they all perform on the train. And
is your dad a Deadhead?
We wouldn't be a full-blown Deadhead,
okay.
but he was a fan of the Dead.
Okay.
My dad's was an old hippie.
Yeah, old hippie, Deadhead. Did he ever see the Grateful Dead?
I don't think he ever saw the Grateful Dead, no.
May not have remembered?
He probably wouldn't have remembered.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's a good, I wonder what the greatest concert film is of all time, or like by ratings, by rankings, other than The Last Waltz.
Yeah, I was going to say The Last Waltz usually tops that list, but it's a good question.
Like, what would you do? Ryley, do you have a favorite concert film, producer Ryley?
Stop Making Sense.
Talking Heads, yeah.
My all-time favorite.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I forgot about that, actually. I really love that Concert for George.
Oh, yeah.
Concert for George, really, really cool, because you've got that, 30, 45 minutes of just traditional Indian music.
Yep.
From Ravi Shankar and his 75-member family. And then just, a bunch of stars playing some George Harrison tracks. That's pretty cool. It's a DVD I have at home. It's a Dinosaur Jr. Live show, but it was a tour where, and we've talked about this before, but Dinosaur Jr. went on tour, and they brought Henry Rollins with them to interview them at every show. So I don't remember exactly how it works, but basically Rollins hops on stage and interviews the band. And for those that know Dinosaur Jr., Jay Mascis is not a very talkative person. So it's an interesting vibe, but that's pretty cool.
You know what? I'll throw out the other one I go to quite a bit is Pearl Jam Let's Play 2, which they recorded also in 2016. And so that's the year the Chicago Cubs won the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
So they play 2 shows at Wrigley, and basically the film goes back and forth between the shows at Wrigley and then the Cubs' magical run to their first World Series championship in a billion years.
Do they actually have footage of the sports stuff in?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then Eddie talks, because obviously Eddie was heavily connected to the Cubs.
Why is that? He's not. Is he from Chicago?
Yeah, his dad used to take him to games.
Oh,
so I can't remember if he was born in Chicago, but spent some childhood there before
Right.
heading out to the West Coast.
It's shocking how little I know about Pearl Jam.
It is shocking. You need to watch that. And the PJ20. Their big battle against Ticketmaster, I think you would love. Well, maybe not.
Can I watch it on mute?
All right, this intro is over.
All right. Well, actually, it's not.
No, it's not.
Because I had a situation on the weekend.
Uh-oh.
So been spending the weekends out at my girlfriend's cabin. Really nice, especially the last couple months, because the weekends have been so nice. The last weekend wasn't that nice. It was kind of rainy. It was kind of gloomy. Just wasn't great. There was another problem, though. The tank was full. And the tank was full from about 3 hours before we actually got there on Friday. And we were there until Sunday. So there was a pretty strict no flushing rule, depending on what you were depositing. And even when you were depositing things, it was a little like, okay, well, just, okay, all right. Because the guy's not coming until Sunday. So every once in a while, I don't know how often it is, they roll up a big truck. This is out at a cabin, and they empty the tank, right?
Yeah.
And,
the honey wagon.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
The honey wagon.
I have never wanted a porta potty so bad in my life. Ever.
And you've got connections now.
I brought it up. I was like, is this the type of situation? It's Friday evening. We're probably going to have this strict flushing rule until Sunday morning at the very earliest. Is this a situation where I can call Go Services Inc. and be like, hey, we've got an emergency and we really need a porta potty? Do you think so?
1,000%. I think they're building you like the Death Star of porta potties.
That is true.
You are getting your very own, the Patrick Bateman presidential.
Well, I can't
potty.
distract them from their hard work.
Yeah, but when you got to go.
Well, and I did. There were a couple trips into the woods.
What did you use?
Just, I don't know, leaves.
You can buy a new pair of socks for Patrick. Patrick is taking sock donations.
Taking sock donations, absolutely. So shout out to Go Services Inc. for hanging out on this week's episode of The Road the Stage.
I'm guessing you guys maybe had a few pops around the fire pit. There was a reason why you had to go to the outhouse so often?
Yes, there was, as a matter of fact.
You and your IPAs?
There was one. I don't remember which one it was, if I'm being honest.
Well, they've got like 3 or 4.
It was one of those.
It was one of those 3 or 4.
It was one of those.
East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, because
hybrid.
I actually, damn it.
Have you had the Food Aged?
No, I don't think so.
Those are amazing.
But whatever I was having was helping me wash down my first taste of mezcal.
Yeah?
Have you ever had mezcal before?
No, I haven't had mezcal.
God damn, man. Holy, that stuff is intense.
Who brought that?
I did.
Okay.
It was a birthday gift. It's a bottle that will only be cracked like maybe twice a year, I think.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty intense experience. I love tequila, but I've never had mezcal before. So shout out to Sawback for helping me
wash down, clear the palate.
Remind myself what life is like, I guess. Reality, at least.
Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing. A big shout out to Tourism Red Deer.
Mm-hmm. Of course, our producers Ryan and Ryley here at Communal Creative Studios with Bose Bar and Stage. We are getting shows going, and it's a crazy time around here. So
we're gonna chat with a guy who his band played Bose just before Canada Day. Remember, he'd actually emailed me, and they had some other gigs booked in Alberta, and he said, "Hey, man, any chance you know somewhere we could play in Red Deer?"
And you said,
"As a matter of fact, no." And then we went through a long list, and then eventually got to Bose.
Cool, man. That's sweet. I didn't know that.
So these guys played Bose just before Canada Day. Would have been 2019.
And he goes by Neu.
Neu,
short for Newman,
not NEW. NEU.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to him now. Newman New. Oh, God damn it. Neu from the Matchstick Skeletons.
Can you guys hear me all right?
It's perfect, actually. We'll check with Ryan and Ryley and see where they're at.
Is that a 441?
That is a 441, baby. It sung most of the record on this thing, actually.
I saw it in the music video.
Yeah, it was like we did... when I started all this, I had much shinier ideas. And then I just thought, let's just fucking sing it handheld. Whatever.
So wait, so Ryan, our producer Ryan, jumped in to ask us if that was a 441. I'm not I'm not a gearhead by any means.
Baby, that's the one.
What's so special?
They just sound cool. But then you also look up photos and you're like, oh man, you see like Stevie Nicks and you see like just the coolest people of all time with them, and you're like, I could use this in my life. But we ended up doing most of the record, like kind of like when are we going?
Oh, hell yeah.
Go. We're
rolling. Sweet. Basically like when I started the Skeletons post Head of the Herd, I was just like, okay, I need this to not feel the same way. I need to not approach vocals or anything the same way. So a big part of it was like I used to have this 2,500-pound vocal booth. Also, am I allowed to swear on this? I should figure that out now.
Fuck yes.
Perfect. Because otherwise, I always tell my mom, I'm like, anytime you've ever heard me say in an interview, it's because I was trying not to say fuck. But yeah, so I had this
There's a number.
2,500-pound vocal booth. It took up like a whole room, but it was sweet because I could just 3 a.m. be cranking amps there, singing as loud as I want to. But what I found is that when I got in the booth and I had this like large diaphragm condenser mic, I was just like over singing everything. And I just like head of the herd, I screamed every note of that for 3 albums. And this one, I'm like, I think I'd like to try singing. So instead of standing up, taking a big breath and shouting, I often sit right here in this chair with this mic in my hand. And it's just a totally different way to go about it. But
damn,
you get different results. I don't know. Like I'm always just trying to find different ways to play and different ways to sing, and that works for this one.
Is it trial and error? Like just trying different mics and different?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
dude. I'm full improv, technically and creatively.
What about chairs? Are you also trying different chairs, or?
I did. I've had some chairs that I only wrote duds, and then I've had some hit chairs, and I keep those as long as I can.
Okay, cool.
Do you have specs on those chairs?
Yeah,
for some reason,
that list.
Patrick is very much a chair connoisseur.
I can give you some details.
Okay,
I don't know what
cool.
the brand is, but this is a fine chair. Fine chair.
It looks like a fine chair.
Yeah.
It's got
That's
How
another
about you boys?
podcast,
What's happening in Alberta right now? I miss it.
Well, things as of Canada Day the pandemic ended.
It's over. Just the
that's convenient.
flick of the switch. We're done.
It was done.
That's
It
it.
ended in California a minute ago, and I don't think it ever happened in Idaho or Texas.
Yeah,
Right.
that sounds about right. Stampede is, I believe, as full blast as it could be right now. There are definitely some rules and restrictions, but
If you
I saw a
see
bunch
some
of
the
bands
stuff
heading there. So
yeah, oh yeah, the bands are going. But if you look at some of the stuff people are posting from bars around Calgary, it looks like it's 1987.
Oh yeah, yeah.
oh, there's a lot of pent up partying that's going to go down this summer in particular.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of partying, a lot of hugs. I turned down a handshake today, which was pretty funny.
But good on you, right?
I mean, I don't, whatever.
Yeah, the obligatory physical touch. I think most of us realize, like, I didn't like that anyways. I was just doing it because I thought I had to.
Personally, I'm never gonna shake another hand in my life.
No, elbow bump for a total stranger, that works for me.
Yeah.
What's wrong with nods?
Oh.
Nods, yes.
Hey.
Tip of the cap.
How you doing?
What took me forever was like, whatever, call it like a year into the plague. I had my mask on and I was talking to my wife and I was like, does this look like I'm smiling? And she's like, no, it looks like you're scowling. I was like, oh, I've been doing that to babies and puppies and strangers for a year now, just scowling at them.
That's why everybody's running. They thought you had the vid, but no, you were just scowling at them.
It was about a year ago. I was talking to Gordy Johnson from Big Sugar through Zoom. He was down in Texas, and he had made a joke. And this is early on in the pandemic. Like, I think it was June or something. That he was like, yeah, it's weird going into a bank with a mask on. Because you would never, you'd never be able to do that ever. But
full disguise, man. You wear sunglasses. You got a proper disguise on.
yeah, you're right. You could be the invisible man.
Yeah.
So how much of that pandemic did you spend alone? Was some of that the desert work that you had done, was that pre-pandemic? Was that during pandemic?
No, so basically, so we hit the road. I basically like boogied down here. We hit the road with the Suns for whatever that month-ish was. And then we got off the tour in Denver or like Englewood, Colorado. They only did like 2 more shows before that plug got pulled. And then I was back in LA. And things were getting kind of hairy. Like I was supposed to fly back to Vancouver to do a drum session with Maddie, but you were still allowed to fly. But I was like, this seems like a terrible idea. If I get stuck down there and my dog's in a kennel here, that's no good. So I canceled that flight. Maddie did the drums, and then within a week there was nothing. Like everything was totally dead. So I took the band's RV, then went into the desert because I had a lot of instrumentals, and I was like, if I have a guitar and a microphone and a whole bunch of time. And a camera, something good's going to come out of this. And thankfully an album did. But truthfully, I've spent most of it alone. Because even like my wife doesn't have a green card yet. So we've been separated from like 80% of this thing, which has been a lot. But whatever, it seems like we're around in the corner there. So I'm hoping she'll be down here in the fall.
So she's in BC?
Yeah, she's in Salmon Arm, man.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then where are you? Like specifically?
So I'm in Hermosa Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like South LA.
Okay.
But it ain't so bad. It's like 25 degrees every day. I go surfing all the time.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
So it's hard to bitch about, really.
I mean, it looks like
today, though.
What's that?
Today, I had a friend that was going to come to the beach to catch some waves, and then there was just a casual spill of like 16 million gallons of sewage like at El Segundo. So I didn't go surfing today.
What? Well, Patrick likes to spend time around bathrooms, so that might actually be a good thing for you to surf in.
I mean, you've been touring for years. You can appreciate a good bathroom.
It makes all the difference. All the difference. Changes the whole mood of the crew. It's required sometimes.
We have been, throwing this idea around, but like, you can be totally honest with this. But if we turned part of the show, The Road, the Stage, if we did a segment where we made you take your camera and do a tour of your bathroom at home, like, would you be down for that? Do you think we'd get good reception?
I have so much stuff plugged into this that is not even an option, and nor would it be interesting, but it's an idea.
It was a good, quick excuse.
That's a great answer.
Good,
he was right on top of that.
I like that.
There was no ums there.
No, even if I move, though, I'm going to unplug something. Yeah, Peter, I'll send you a picture of what this janky setup is right now, so you can see just how.
Is it going to fall apart at any second?
If I sneeze or something, it's gonna bail for sure.
It's so weird because it looks like you've been set up for this for a decade already.
Well, I've done a handful of interviews like this, but then I kind of undo everything and then have to redo it. Okay, there you go. You'll see that picture.
Well, thanks for sitting in with us.
I'm stoked. Are you guys at Bose? Is that where you broadcast out of?
No, we're at Ryan and Ryley from Bose took it upon themselves to create this pretty sweet space, and it's now called Communal Creative Studios. It's kind of a leg of Bose. It's actually downtown Red Deer.
Oh, cool.
And there's a massive green screen wall, and this podcast studio that we're in right now, and
sweet.
It's very, very cool. We really can't wait to get you and every other band in town to show it off.
Because once the tours really start rolling in, just rip everybody through.
Yeah.
It's sweet that we can do this, but it'll be fun to do the real thing. When
you can do some pretty trippy shit on that green screen.
I'm checking out. Oh my God. Yeah, man. But hey, dude, you've got a light going on.
Yeah.
You've got the pro sound set up.
Total pro.
We'll make sure this picture gets in the episode. That's awesome. That's really cool. We had. Do you know Zach Gray?
What band is he?
From the Zolas?
Yeah, I used to play shows in college with them when they were Lotus Child.
Oh, okay.
I haven't talked to him in a decade, but in college I played with him a bunch.
Right. We interviewed him 2 months ago, and he was having a really crazy day, and he'd had an appointment, and he's rushing to get back home, and the meeting time started, so he just called us from a bench in some Vancouver park.
Sweet.
And we're just man, we want to make sure we all sound good and look good. And then we postponed and waited, and it was all dandy.
Oh, gotcha. I was that would be an authentic way to do it, but only if it sounds good.
He was so relieved. He was so relieved.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It wasn't going to sound good. It was cutting in and out crazy.
We pulled the plug very only a couple of minutes in. It was perfect.
No,
but not today. Not today.
No, and that's what they say is even bad video doesn't ruin these things. Bad audio does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But we've got the 4018 mic or whatever the hell it's called. So that's not going to happen today.
8675319, is that it?
It's teetering. It's going to get knocked over here. And he said, careful, watch those movements, Neu. Oh, there it is.
It's dangerous.
That's quite a home studio you've got. So again, this is your place in Hermosa Beach, right?
Yeah. So this basically, I kind of moved in here last year. It's a really weird time. I moved to this big, beautiful, crazy city, and then I haven't seen it. I haven't done anything.
So nothing. You haven't you just said California is reopening or just reopened?
Yeah, honestly, it's coming back pretty hard. And I've never lived in a city where every single band tours here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do not skip this town. And so now that every tour is being announced, I'm just oh, this is going to be a problem. It's every day I need to buy concert tickets.
So what, have you bought any yet?
I have. I don't know when it's going to air, but some of them are a surprise for my wife's birthday. So I'm not going to tell you. But let's just say I'm going to go to Hollywood Bowl.
We could bleep it out.
Oh, yeah, do it. Okay, I'm seeing at the Greek, and I'm seeing at the Hollywood Bowl, and I'm seeing in Berkeley.
Oh.
And just bleep all those. Then she'll never know.
We'll bleep the name of the band and the venues. Do not forget.
No, leave the venues.
We'll just sub in the Mr. Black. It'll be like Justin
yeah,
Bieber.
We could sub in. Yeah,
we'll sub in some terrible.
Oh, yeah.
What's some stuff that she
list
hates?
off your least favorite bands, and we'll
just make all of them DJ Khaled.
Sure.
Just different venues.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to back nights.
There has to be someone who follows that guy on tour. There's probably lots of people that do.
Yeah.
Every band has somebody.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Like, it always blows my mind when you meet Canadian fans that do that, because like touring in Canada is ridiculous. It's like there's always a mountain range and like 1,000 miles between the cities, and then so when fans do that, it blows my mind. Like when we did that Headstones run, there was this chick from England, a couple of them, they went to like 15 of these.
Yeah.
So
Dedication.
I was just like, every time we would barely make it to a venue, 3 days through Thunder Bay, and just make it to Hamilton just on time. And they're like, "Hey, mate." It's like, what? How the hell did you get here too? So I respect it, man.
Now, somebody from England that was visiting here, or they lived
like
here?
Flew out to follow the band around.
Well, sure, yeah. If it's what you're going to do, that'd be great. Actually, I would definitely do that.
Get pretty.
Just you pick
but, like,
your
go
band.
do that in England or in America, where like the next 100,000 people is just like an hour away.
Yeah, for sure. Have you met, like, because you've done some pretty hardcore touring, like you've gone to places to see bands that you love and adore.
Yeah.
Do you know other people that are doing the same thing at those same shows? Have you built this weird, like, little nerd community?
See, I was just gonna. I'm not going full nerd here, but yes.
So,
yeah, you get to know.
Are we talking about like White Buffalo Ice?
Oh my God.
I know the love. I know the love.
Like, you will be able to see people at a White Buffalo show that you've probably been to concerts with before.
Yeah, and there's Facebook groups that everybody's in on. Right. So that's the world now, right? So you can very easily chat with other fans, and it's cool. You see a ton of people you kind of know from show to show.
That's wicked, man.
It's beautiful.
Has White Buffalo played Bose?
Twice.
Nice.
Yeah, Pete actually paid him personally to play at Bose. No, he's done it twice, and they're big shows.
That doesn't surprise me.
Both sold out.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, for sure. He's a surfer too, isn't he?
He actually, yes. You guys should hook up. He is a surfer, and I forget exactly where he is. I think he's a little further north.
Come on.
No, I don't know.
Come on.
He's in California. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, that sounds like a dream. Like, other than the separation with, your family, your friends, your wife, you got yourself, your dog. You're living in California. You got.
It's hard to bitch about. Like, it's weird. But everyone's had a hard, weird time, and so I'm just like, I was talking to Maddie the other day, because whatever he's kind of had the opposite. He's got 2 kids. It's been very intense, and they moved, and like a bunch of stuff has happened, and he's like, "Man, I know the grass is always greener, but your grass is looking pretty fucking green right now."
So when are you coming back?
Well, I was actually just back. I went to Salmon Arm for a couple weeks in June, and then I'm gonna be probably back in the Okanagan in August for a week or so. But tour wise, I have no idea. But like, I just want to go see my family, and I want to see my band, and I want to go write some songs.
Is Maddie in Vancouver?
So he's in Gibson's now. He moved to the Sunshine Coast.
Oh, okay.
So him and Garth Richardson, that dude who like produced the Head of the Hurt stuff and Rage Against the Machine, and he's the coolest man alive. He has his studio in this tiny Sunshine Coast town, and now the coolest drummer in the country lives there too. And I'm like, they're gonna do something together. I just know it.
Right.
So I'm stoked to hear what they cook up together.
Very cool. And then so for those that like don't know, you put out a new record.
Yeah.
When was that? The late winter?
When did that?
No, that was like the end of April.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I'll change the channel.
That's late winter.
Change the channel. 15 tracks. Very cool from beginning to end.
Thanks, man.
But you've been working on that for a long time, right?
There's like there's pieces of it that are from like the Told You So sessions, and there's pieces of it that we wrote on the RV during the Headstones tour in the middle of the winter.
Right.
And then there's pieces that I made in the desert out here, and there's pieces that like I went over to. Basically we had a bunch of instrumentals, a bunch of really cool stuff that I just couldn't turn into much. So I ended up flying to Hamilton, I guess. I flew to Toronto, and Brett, like the Glorious Sun singer, he scooped me up, and I spent a week out there writing tunes with him, and a lot of that was kind of building on those instrumentals. But then some of them were just like if you listen to the song Eyes I'd Never Seen, like that's literally we turned on a looper, and the very first thing I sung was and that we just looped and we built on that, and so that one kind of came out of scratch. Some of them were like a lot of thinking and planning, but some of them you just puked out and were like, I guess it's there. And those are usually my favorites, you know.
How long were you doing that for in Hamilton?
I think I was there like 10 days or something.
Okay.
Came out of that with a bunch of songs, a lot of hangovers too.
Yeah, you were pretty tired at the end of it?
We just had a good time, to be honest. It was like, normally we'd only ever kind of link up on tour. Like I'm going this way, he's going that way, or we're on tour together. But that's just like a very intense environment to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice to just kind of wake up, make some coffee, and talk about songs and just listen to music and write songs all day. It's like, I feel like and him and I had never done that before, right? Like we've known each other forever, but we've never written songs together. And I feel like there's some times when you meet someone who cares about the thing that you care about in that same way, it's just like you instantly, there's no filter needed. Like sometimes I meet like a surfer or an actor or a musician who kind of have the same ideas about it, and all of a sudden it's just like you don't have to worry. You can say, I love this, I'm scared of this, that's beautiful, and it's just you're on the same page because you're working for the same goal. And with him and I, we just kind of had some ideas about songs, and then we just went at it for the whole time. It was wicked. So fun.
And did that relationship start with you guys when you guys toured Head of the Herd and the Glorious Sons? It would have been like 2012?
There was like 2013. So there was one tour before we came and saw you guys. So we went to Ontario to do those like GNR dates. And then we strung 5 together through Ontario, and 2 of them were with them. So in Kingston and Toronto, we played with them. And I just remember that song Ruby, and I was like, when our agent was like, who do you want to open? I was like, get these dudes, because we're going to be opening for them soon. And sure enough, we were. So we kind of knew each other a little bit before we came into the pit in that November. But yeah, it just kind of came from touring. And that was both of our first big tours. Like their first time out of Ontario, our first time leaving for months. And, pressure creates diamonds. That was so intense. Well, but no one died.
We hope to talk to him and the Glorious Sons about it, but like is he doing this writing and collaborating a lot more in the last year or two than ever before? Is that something he's focusing on, or has it always been the case?
I don't know if he's focusing on it. I feel like the session with me wasn't his first, like outside of the Sons one, but there was somebody else that he was writing with, and that was his first kind of foray into a non-TGS world, and I think he dug it, and he's good at it, man. That guy's got songs.
He is a well.
When was this session you had with him? 2019? 2020?
19, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because I was just sent an upcoming album or project that he was pretty involved in, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, so I assume he's doing more of it.
Yeah, no, it's working out for sure.
Well, and if you think of the output that he had, we talk a lot about how when the pandemic first started, everybody was like, oh, okay, we got a couple of weeks, and everybody just threw a ton of content out there thinking, okay, no problem, we'll fill a couple of few weeks, and then,
you guys
and then
in
we'll
a
be
month.
moving on. Yeah. But their one, like they were cranking out, I think he was releasing a song a day for the first 30 some odd days of the pandemic.
And yeah, I remember like whatever. Well, my buddy Wes Mack, he's like a country dude, but he's been my best friend since we were kids. And him and I both, basically, he came to that tour. He went and saw us in Seattle. And then like whatever, a week or two later, the world shut down. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go to Joshua Tree, just ride this out for whatever the week or so it'll be. And he was like, I'm going to go to my cabin in Invermere just for whatever, like 10 days. And then like 6 months later, we called each other. We're like, you're still there, right? It's like, yeah, I'm just out here still.
Damn.
Because it was just like there was nothing to go back to in some senses.
So describe Joshua Tree. I've never been. Obviously, there's a bunch of fame around it. We all know about it. We all hear about it. But like, how isolated were you? This is out in the absolute middle. I'm picturing like The Simpsons and the coyote coming.
No, there is a town, right? Like there's
like the town of like the high desert has a bunch of towns that kind of border the park, but in the park there's not a lot going on. And I was literally just in an RV, so I would just drive until the road stopped, and then I would just stay there for a couple days and film stuff and record stuff. So I probably didn't talk to anyone for like a long, long time. But it's gorgeous. It's just like all these like 500-year-old alien-looking trees. And it always kind of, sometimes when people look at the desert, they say they see nothing. And I'm like, if you just wait, if you just keep looking, then nothing will start to move. Because there's so much life there where you think there isn't. And a lot of that life wants to end yours. So look out for snakes and stuff. But it's such a cool, magical place. And my grandparents always lived out there, not in the park. Like they lived in Palm Desert. But I've been to the desert every year in my life. And so it kind of felt like home. And so when things went upside down, I was like, let's just go see what that's about.
Damn, that's cool.
Stayed there till it got to be like 50 degrees. And then I was like, I should probably go jump in the ocean.
So in the new music video for I'm Right Here, which I think you've described as kind of like a loose retelling of the creation of the record or some of the songs, right?
Yeah, like that's That's the creative description.
So originally I was like, oh, you got an animator to do all those animations, but now I'm wondering if that was just, you filmed yourself out in Joshua Tree.
No, that was just my internal dialogue the whole time. Actually, and you referenced that like Simpsons one where he eats that spicy chili and loses his mind, and that the coyote in the clouds. That's like Johnny Cash's voice.
Yeah,
it's so good. So that was something I sent to the animator. I was like, this is what I want it to be, like playfully scary. I don't want it to be like the first half of the thing might be like proper spooky, but then make that fun but kind of spooky still.
Mm-hmm.
And he nailed it, man. That guy, his name's Greg Doble. He lives in Montreal. And he just did a video for the Nil. He did a video for No Bro.
Yeah, that No Bro video was like really fucking cool.
Don't Die.
Yeah.
He's a gem. I've known him like 20 years. My very first band, his brother was the drummer, actually, with Wes.
What was this band?
Oh, it was terrible. I hope you can't pull anything up. We were called Shades of Grey because we were children.
I love that
name. But yeah, it was dazzling. And I keep thinking, like, when I came up, I had this freedom to just enjoy being terrible and play shows and not worry about the permanent documentation of them. And when I talk to some young people now, I think because of the permanence of everything you do, and mind you, like, things are fleeting because there's so much content, but there's always a permanent record of almost everything you do, certainly if you perform. And I feel like I know these young people who, instead of just playing every weekend for 5 years and being terrible, they need to make sure that first gig is so perfect that they don't ever have it. They spend years planning and thinking about it. And I think it's easy to lose sight of like how just fun it is to just play and not give a shit for a minute. Like, if you're a teenager, this doesn't have to be your career. Just if you enjoy playing, go play everywhere someone will let you for as many years as that can happen. And then at some point you might want to do it more so. But
well, it's just like you're talking about with the mics, right? Like, just go out and play. Just go do. If you make mistakes, something sounds like shit, it sounds like shit. You're going to try something else. And
yeah. And like, I think just, and when you bring it up to like the recording side of it, it's like there is, with the technology a lot of people record with, there's the ability to make things perfect, which is not real and it's stupid and you shouldn't chase it. It's a waste of time. But with that, some people think like you got to snap the drums to a grid, which I think should be like a criminal offense in rock and roll, because it just sucks the life out of the drums. Like, or like tuning everything or doing too many takes. The thing about, like, because I produce these records is the amount of takes is directly attached to my level of frustration. So nothing gets more than like 3 or 4 takes because I just get pissed off and keep it or throw it right in the trash.
You got a fist pump from producer Ryan about that drum line, by the way.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always threaten Maddie with Control Q. I was like, don't make me Control Q you. And whatever. Like, I get that there's moments that type of like surgical recording is cool. And like, I was signed to like a progressive house label. So like there was no real drums. Everything was snapped to a grid, and that was fun because that kind of was part of the creative part of that, was like, you want robotic loopy sounds. But when it comes to this stuff, like, you've seen Maddie drum. Can you imagine Control Qing that?
Not at all.
Into submission? That would, it would take the Maddie out.
It wouldn't happen. I couldn't imagine him being controlled like that.
Oh yeah, dude.
Wild.
Or like this girl, you know who Jess Bowen is? She was the one that toured with us last year because Maddie couldn't do that run.
Right.
And she plays in a bunch of bands, and whatever, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but she's an amazing drummer. I love this woman. And she said she hasn't been in the studio in years because most of the bands she works with don't use real drums on the records. And again, if you're doing electronic stuff or whatever, that's not a slight. But if you're waving the rock and roll flag, let your drummer drum, man.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. I would love to hear more about that, but I understand your hesitation.
Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit more about Matty, and like, how many skins does he go through in a drum kit? Because nobody hits as hard as Matty, right?
Dude, there's literal like a layer of sawdust on the drum, like on the drum riser after he plays. It's hilarious. It's comical. There's no practical reason to hit a drum that hard, but it looks awesome and it sounds awesome.
It does look good.
But like, you'll go to a studio and they'll sound check it, or just like when you're getting levels. And I make sure I'm looking at the engineer's face the first time they hear a snare drum, because they have the level set at like human gain state. And then he'll thwack, and they're just like, what? Turn everything down. This is going to be different.
But it's just natural for him, right?
Oh, yeah, man. Most shows, he'd rip through probably 5 or 6 sticks, and half the time I wouldn't even notice. But if there's ever a hiccup live, it's because he's just ripping trees down, snapping them in half back there.
You guys were playing in Head of the Herd together, right? Like he was in towards the end?
He was there the last like 3 years, which was
right.
It was only around for 5 years, so that was most of it.
Okay.
But we only made the third record together, because kind of by the time we met him, the By the Sun of Tomorrow record had been finished, but the first like tour of that, he was the dude.
How many years has it been since the end of that band?
That died end of 2015. I think we said it out loud. 2016. Oh, hello.
Go ahead, take it.
Yeah, just fuck you guys.
We're good.
I hope that happens someday.
Just in the background, just have a full conversation. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking to these fucking guys.
This is the worst. Thanks for calling.
I'm gonna tank every interview until that actually happens.
You just call these people separately while it's happening. See how you do.
Yeah, totally. So it's been like 6 years since the end of that band. Like, do you think about it a lot? Does it still inform a ton of your decisions in the music creative process?
Yeah, like I'm bad at taking just the bad with me.
Okay.
And that's like that's not a super healthy way to live your life.
Could say you're good at it.
Yeah, but it's like I learned a lot of what I didn't want to do again. And that band was fun as hell. Like I really did love being the singer of that band. I loved writing those songs, and I loved the people I met and the tours I did. But I had to get put down to start something else, and it just took me a minute to line it up right, you know. But yeah, I would say it still rattles around in the back of my head. The music I can't really listen to it. It just hurts my feelings a bit.
Because you're so attached to it, or yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's not like I wish that band was still around. It was definitely the right thing. Like there was no that band was not long for this world, even if it didn't die right when it died.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on my mind, in good and bad ways, you know.
Is it a what might have been or what could have been? Could have done things different?
Not really, because like it had to die. It's more just like I think about what I expressed in those songs and how I was able to kind of communicate, and like even just like the genre and like the sonic approach we had. I really wanted to flip this script around. Like I still love rock and roll, but I like to think a very different sounding idea, you know?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And then so you've kind of elaborated on the creative process and how you feel about those songs. You still have strong feelings for them. What about the business side of it? How have you taken those lessons into the Matchstick Skeletons?
Well, like one thing is a bit of a trip is like we walked away from a major label deal. That's something.
I want to know about that. Can you talk about that?
I don't see why not. I think everyone who worked there when I was there has been fired or quit, like quit the industry. That shows about how toxic that world was.
Damn.
And it's like, and we didn't have a 360 deal. So we didn't have a deal where they were in the studio. It was literally, we would show them a finished product and it was like right of first refusal kind of thing. But it was just some heavily, just whatever. Enough people look you in the face and lie to you. You have to think a bit harder about who you want to work with. You know what I mean? And then when I think a lot about like with this group, it's like what the labels were providing. I was like, if I can find a way to provide that for myself, that's probably a better idea in the long run, especially if streaming's such a big game now. So that doesn't mean I'm independent forever, but I've found a way to be pretty happy doing it this way.
Do you give any advice to younger bands or other bands that you're familiar with? You ever get asked for advice?
My favorite advice is kind of a joke. Stop, no, and don't. And then if you tell a kid that and they still want to be in the music industry, they might have the spine to get through it.
Yeah, I like that.
Because whatever. It's a nightmare. It's also the greatest thing in the world, you know. The
worst and best decision of your life. You make.
Yeah.
You make.
And
it.
it's like I try to remind myself, like I dedicated my life to music, not to the music industry, but I also love the music industry. Like when I go play a show and there's like 15 Prevost buses just hissing in the back, I love that shit. I just love it, and I don't know why. But it's like my favorite bands don't play coffee shops; they play arenas. So I want to participate.
So where did that start for you? You grew up in Calgary.
Yeah. So born and raised in Calgary. pretty much like first day I picked up a bass, I was like, I know what I want to do until I die. So I pretty quickly started a band. Oh, even with the worst name. Before my first like band that we did a bunch with, we were the Inbred Cousins Twice Removed. We played a talent show.
That was the name.
Blink-182 cover that me and the guitarist were absolutely in different keys and I believe different time signatures.
What song was it?
Damn It.
Okay.
And our singer got laryngitis, and halfway through, I blew the bass amp up, and it was like the school's bass amp. So like, things couldn't have gone worse. And it was one of those shows too. It's like if you're 13 and you're playing a gig, the strobe light is on the whole time.
Right.
So it was like it was a dumpster fire, and it was so fun, and that's all I've wanted to do since.
How old were you when you presented this band in front of your school?
I would have been 12 or 13. I think maybe 13. I can't remember. Junior high, whatever, like early junior high.
You just didn't announce the band name until you started playing the song? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, actually, we probably didn't even say it out loud. And then, yeah, basically when I linked up with Wes, that was when it got proper serious, because like we lived in the same street, so just every single day I would just go to his house and we'd play music, and we would just play covers and switch instruments around. I'd play the drums, he'd play the bass, play keyboards, and like but it was just out of love, man. There was no ambition, there was no like big industry thought, not for a couple of years. We just liked playing, and so we just found a way to do that at every moment. Like we played hockey together, and when we'd go to tryouts, and we were like not a super comparable skill level, but we would tell them like, hey, if we're not on the same team, we're going to quit hockey. So just put us on a shittier division if you have to. We really need to keep our schedules aligned. And they did.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So yeah, and that was kind of him and I, and that's honestly the reason I moved to Vancouver too. Because like my parents were like, you should go to university. I was like, okay. And Wesley's like, you want to still be in a band? I was like, okay. And he's like, well, I'm going to Vancouver. I was like, I guess I'm going to Vancouver. And then I stayed there 15 years. So I got blinders on, man. As long as I'm making music, I'm pretty happy.
And was there ever any other path that you considered going down?
Not like I would pretend occasionally that I could get a real job and keep it, but I think everyone who knows me knows that would not work out.
And that's, I mean, we've known each other for a few years and not like super, super well, but I'd like, from the moment I met you, I got that feeling. This guy is doing music and there's nothing else that this guy is going to do.
Yeah. It's just like, who am I even here if I'm not doing this? This is kind of a scary question, but I just like, it's just one of those things that's always been there for me. It's like every moment of your life, I think there's some song that can probably improve your moment, or at least give you a bit of understanding about what's actually happening. And I always just think like it's, I know this artist, Kalen Thompson. He's actually the dude who like, this is a test pressing. Where is it? He's the dude who designed Wilfred, our skeleton.
Oh, okay, cool.
But he's also this fella who like, he spends, I'm not exaggerating, like years in his garage making these paintings. And he like moved to Australia, and it was too hot, so he like started going nocturnal. So he'd paint in the middle of the night. And this is hard to tell, but this is 2 meters wide.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And so he was my roommate. So this is like his wife for scale.
Yeah.
And so he's this artist, and he's so dedicated. And he makes this beautiful stuff, and I can't even imagine how it comes into his brain. And I remember early when I was like first deciding like, okay, I'm gonna be a professional musician till I die. That's what I'm doing. And then I kind of felt guilty. I felt weird about it, because you kind of have you're having this moment where you're like, I can do what my heroes did. And you feel kind of selfish, and you feel kind of weird when you're like insecure about songs. And I just remember him telling me like, it's not selfish. It's probably the most generous thing you can do with your life is make art. And I was like, it kind of just flipped the script for me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this till I die, whatever.
And you're not just doing like, music that can be performed on stage or listened to through speakers or headphones. You're doing like movies or indie films too, right? You've done that in the past?
Yeah, like I've scored some films, and like I've worked as like a director of photography, and even like our videos, like I've directed most of our videos, and I've worked a lot with my buddy Wes on videos too. So it's like, it's kind of an all-encompassing world that you can get into. And really it's like once you approach that with an open mind, and you meet some people that you like making the visuals with too, it's really fun. Because in Head of the Herd, I don't think we ever had a music video, right? We had that one kind of in studio one, and we just kept having directors write treatments for the like scripts for the videos that just were like, they don't understand us at all,
right?
Like not even slightly. And we would have like long meetings with these directors, and then they'd give us one, and we'd read it and just be like, they don't get us at all. And then it ended up being we never made any videos. So with this band, I was like, I want the visual element to be super important, and let's just keep our hands on it. So let's just figure out how to make our own videos, and let's just make a bunch of them. And so that was just a fun new thing in this band that I hadn't really done with anything before.
You have any like specific video inspirations?
It's kind of tough. Like, well, you tell me what's your favorite? Give me some music videos you love. I'll do some brainstorming.
Well, music videos specifically, I don't know, but like your music videos, I don't find necessarily need to be inspired by other music videos. Like they could be inspired by any sort of visual art, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess like in the last one, I was kind of had my head in a bit of like a fear and loathing mindset.
Yeah.
So that's where there's like the snorri cam, the one that's kind of right before I exhale and pass out with the pink smoke, and even just like before that with all the super close-ups of like the cigarette and the drink. I just wanted it to be like mostly out of focus, you know. So then you can kind of get in this headspace and I think whether it's effective or not, I don't know. People got to tell me, but I think you could kind of tap into that weird loneliness of early Plague. Because that was just an odd feeling that everyone was going through. It's the first thing in my life that everyone went through at the same time. You know, like even World Wars, everyone doesn't go through it.
I know.
This was like basically everyone.
Yeah, it was crazy. Something like this had not happened in like 100 years or whatever it was. It's crazy.
And so I was just trying to come out of that without just being depressed and just be like, okay, if this is what's happening, if I can make shit while I'm in it, I'll probably feel better about it. Because usually that's what happens in my life. Things go bad, songs get me out of it. And this one, I just try to take it heavy into the videos too. And I think they worked. I don't know.
I think so. So when it comes to scoring those films or scoring video that maybe you didn't necessarily create, like I'm just curious, what's the process? Or do you already have things to bring to the table, or is it something that you need to see those visuals first and then you can get to work?
I like to see it first. Like my best example is I made this movie with this German director, Nathalie Cerny, and it's like this kind of 4-part art film, and she narrates it, and she filmed this beautiful thing. And she would just kind of shoot it, and then she would come to my house and show me the dailies, and I was just kind of sitting on a piano, plunking around. And then there was this one day where she came over, and I showed her this super simple piano line, something like that. And we just kind of zoned in on that. And then once she started to cut the thing together, we could start to like organize it arrangement wise. But with her and I, it was the same thing. It was just a feeling. It was just like, just puke out this line. If it works, we'll find some way to kind of build upon it. And that's my favorite way to do it, was just like, especially like if you have a director you trust. There's people that I would never want to be in the studio with while you're actually doing the writing, but she's someone I trust completely. So it's fun. It's some of my like favorite stuff to do in the studio, especially because I'm not really singing, which just puts it in a different framework, you know.
What was that called?
It's called Renaissance. I don't even think like when you're applying for festivals, you can't actually have it released. So I think you can't watch it anywhere. I can see if I can get you a private link, but it's not like for public consumption yet. But it's really cool. I'm stoked about her.
And this was her project? And you got hired on it. So you kind of see things from both sides, right? You talked about how you had people that just couldn't get your visuals during Head of the Herd and get the videos and just couldn't sink in. Now you're on the flip side of that, where you have to buy into somebody else's vision. So how difficult is it as a very creative person on your own to have to buy into what somebody else is directing you to do?
Honestly, if it's good, it's good. And if it's not, it's harder. So with her, it was a cinch. Like, I think she communicated the story perfectly, and I just had to be that last puzzle piece.
Did she reach out to you? Did she seek you out, or was it?
Yeah, I actually met her. Like I was going to like art school at night, and after Head of the Herd, I scrambled and I did a lot of weird stuff. But I met her when I was taking acting classes in Vancouver, and we just kind of, I feel like we just understood each other, and she knew I was a musician, and I knew she was working on this thing, and yeah, I don't know if she approached other people, but when she rung me and kind of told me the idea, I was like, I'm gonna be the dude for this. And thankfully that melody showed up right when we needed it. And that's what we built off.
Someday we will see Renaissance.
Maybe. Yeah.
And how much does environment play a role in that? Like with you being in LA now, is that obviously opens you up to be able to do more of that stuff? It's just happening a lot more.
Yeah, because like most stuff getting made worldwide gets farmed out to composers out here, and like whatever. I moved here and the place shut down and starting to open up. So I plan on doing more of that, but really I was real focused on our album, which is always kind of the weird, almost like hangover the day it. Well, there's probably a literal hangover too, but like when you put it out and then you're just like, okay, now what? This is all I've thought about.
Yeah.
I've like gone to bed and woken up thinking about this thing for a couple years, and it's, I don't know. Once the album's out, it's not mine anymore. It's not ours anymore, and that's a really nice thing and a scary thing, you know.
No, and it's just out there. It's good. It's good. It sounds good.
Sweet.
Production is really, really cool.
That is the one thing I wanted to bring up. That's the first thing I noticed going through my first listen to that album is just how good the production sounds.
Yeah.
And which it seems weird because it was it sounds like it was pieced together a little bit, right? A little done here, a little done there. Or was the recording all done at once or just the writing of it?
No, like it was a scramble, man. And it was just like, it's a testament to the guys who mixed it as well. Like, so Ben Kaplan, he mixed the first session. He's a guy who's like produced a bunch of Mother. Like my favorite Canadian record of all time is The Styx. And that's him. And he engineered a bunch of Garth stuff that we did with Head of the Herd. But he did the first, like, I don't know how many songs we have.
Well, there's 15 tracks.
There's 15 on it, but like he probably
extra.
did like 15 and 15 with Mark Rankin, and Rankin, he's a guy who's done like Queens of Stone Age and Adele and Spoon, and he's a really interesting fella, and he's a UK rock and roll dude, which are my favorite. Just talking to UK guys about rock is the best. And so he did that back half, and we had kind of prefaced it a bit, showing him like, okay, well, this is what the Kaplan stuff sounds like. It doesn't need to match this at all, but just so you know, this might end up on a record together. Good luck. And he did a pretty cool job, I think. But the toughest thing was the sequence, man, because we probably had 25 done, like mastered, mixed, everything, songs, and then having to cut the head off 10 is just it's just a hard thing to do, you know? And I'm really bad at it. So thankfully, like Maddie and Ryan, they showed up with a sequence that was very similar. And then after we had thrown stuff at the wall for months and nothing felt right. And like a sequence, if you don't know, it's just like the order of the songs and like what songs make it. But yeah, then Maddie and Ryan showed up with an almost identical one, and that's basically what's on here.
What's going on with those other tracks?
I don't know. They're either like in a garbage bin or they're going to come out, and I don't know. It's just like, it just depends where we go next, because some of them are old, and give me about 3 weeks and I'll hate everything I've ever made. So ones that are 2 years old, I'm just like, nah.
It's tough, but it's not uncommon. Like a lot of bands are releasing, a follow-up EP that'll come out whatever 6 or 7 months later. Yep. And that kind of helps keep the momentum going a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, a lot of people will tell you kind of have to do that, and you don't have to do anything, but it's not a bad idea if you're trying to stay on DSP's radar, You
can also save it for the 10-year.
Yeah.
10-year record anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah, so I couldn't tell you if any of those are going to see the light of day, but there's some really cool ones that they just didn't work in the sequence that I'd like to put out. But also, like, once I start writing, I move on real fast. So.
Well, speaking of moving on, what the hell's going on? You're out there. You're hoping to get back north sometime soon. We've been asking bands what their plans are, and they say it's none of your business, or we're legally obliged not to tell you.
It's totally secret, bro. No, I think the truth is, I want to get on the road, but I don't want to go for a weekend. I want to go for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So, you know what they say? It's nothing. The only thing better than coming home is leaving home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to just tee up like a solid run, because it's just like it's a lot to set up a tour, and I don't want to go do that for a week and then come back here. Like, I want to make sure if I'm gone for a while.
Just copy the Elton John model. Do a farewell tour that lasts 4.5 years, 450 shows, whatever it is.
Yeah, you can say farewell more than once. I think that's been proven.
In the same city, 2 years after the fact? Is that how it's working?
Especially for like whatever. Of course, you jack up the ticket price when they're going away.
Sure.
And then when they come back, you got to feel kind of like a dick. even though it's a concert, it's fun. Maybe people knew you were lying. Maybe you knew you were lying.
Well,
maybe you didn't. But God damn it, those tickets are expensive.
What happened with your childhood, your favorite band? They did a big old farewell tour, made you travel across the goddamn country.
I think
then
I've got
back.
an affinity for Motley Crue, and I got hooked right in. And I went to LA for that final show.
Sweet.
And spent a shit ton of cash. And
what year was that? 17?
That was 2015.
Really?
Yeah,
2015, and then their reunion was supposed to be during like 2020.
Would have been 2020, but wouldn't even have. Yeah, would have
Shameless.
Not even 5 years.
Shameless.
And I got totally sucked in because I'm like, this is this is great. This is the signed a contract and everything. They're going to be the band that sticks to. All right, I should have been a lot smarter than that.
No, man, I respect it. It's you walked into that arena with love.
It's not your fault.
No, it's definitely not my fault.
It's not your fault. You decided, I got it. Like I have to take this opportunity because I'm probably not going to get.
I'm not going to take the risk.
They made a big deal of signing a document that said that they wouldn't rescind it, and now they're back.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Is there anybody that you didn't go see that then either died or quit, like actually quit?
I wish I got to see Bowie. I think that I know that no one got to see him in the last decade or so.
But there was a time we were alive and he was in our town and I didn't go either. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done.
It's Cornell for me.
Never
saw Cornell. Had a chance to see him solo. Had a chance to see him with Soundgarden. Never a chance with Audio. I don't know if Audio Slave ever came up this way. But anyways, never saw Cornell.
So what about you?
Yeah, but Bowie's top of the list. But the one that's more just kind of silly. 2007, I was in Australia for a while. And I was there like better part of a year, and Daft Punk was on tour, and this was like 2007. This was like the Pyramid Tour, like the holy grail of dance music live production. Everyone's either copied it or praised it at least since. And I flew home to be there on my granddad's 80th birthday, and I don't think he really gave a shit that I came home. And it was the next day. It was the next day. I probably could have said happy birthday the day after, but whatever.
How about Prince? I know you're a big Prince fan. You did see Prince?
I saw him at Coachella. And
oh, wow.
Oh, my God. It was magical.
Yeah.
Did you know every song?
No, truthfully, I became a massive Prince head when I started touring with Maddie. Like that was like when I really, really fell in love. So when I saw him, I knew the hits. And I wish I had a bit of a deeper understanding, but even without that, it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then you watch that Coachella documentary. Didn't he he turned it down. They had meetings and everything. And then he was like, yeah, you could book me. And then they're like, I guess he's not playing. And then a month before he's like, so I'm going to headline Saturday. And they're like, yes, you are. Let's change the poster.
Oh, wow.
And he just showed up, rocked up. He covered Creep by Radiohead. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I could see Prince doing that.
Yeah, that's Prince, another one that would have been pretty sweet. I've always thought about McCartney, and I do hope that someday I get to see him, but I also feel like, it's really expensive, right?
But worth every penny.
But is it? Does he still hold up?
Because honestly,
we keep chanting worth it till you buy a ticket to the next city.
You talk about Elton John, and Elton's great, but
never seen him.
Elton doesn't. It depends on the backing vocals an awful lot for that higher stuff, especially. And I get it. I mean, when you get to that age, good for you. But McCartney still goes out and plays for 3.5 hours.
But is he singing like he used to?
Dude,
it's not 100%, but he's going. Live and Let Die, he's going. And the other thing is, the band members will take breaks during that set. But Paul doesn't leave the stage from beginning to end. He is the one member of that entourage that's out there the whole time.
Yeah, man. I was similar way. I hadn't seen him, and then I saw him play the stadium in Vancouver, and it was mind bending.
Yeah,
it was so good, and it wasn't just the songs. Obviously, the songs are some of the greatest. He's just so captivating and charming, and he's wicked good, and he's screaming helter skelter, and you buy every second of it. It's great.
I saw Sting and Peter Gabriel 5 years ago or whatever, and super excited because I love Peter Gabriel, but Sting, whatever. Sting's cool, but he was singing Roxanne in I think it was a lower octave, not just a different key. I think it was just a lower octave. And it was
You're lucky he wasn't just playing the lute.
Yeah. Well, that was when I saw Eric Clapton and Beck, I was like, Beck opened the show or not Beck, Jeff Beck rather.
Yeah.
And Clapton then proceeded to do like an hour and a half of pretty much nonstop acoustic, and I was just like, I could care less about this. Bring back Jeff Beck, because that was, my ears still hurt a little bit. Yeah, no lute Sting, just Sting, who couldn't really sing those high notes anymore.
When was the last time you saw McCartney?
Whatever, 2 years ago, whenever.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
3 years ago.
I think you did Edmonton on that run as well.
Yeah, and he nailed it, man. Also, one that I didn't have the scratch for it, so I was like, I don't need to see AC/DC. I don't need to see AC/DC. It'll be fine. I don't need to see AC/DC. And then the day of the show, I'm like, I'm buying a single obstructed view ticket. I need to see AC/DC. And it was the greatest. It was the greatest thing ever, man. Same place. It was so fun. Sat next to some other old gal who bought a single obstructed view ticket, and we just had the greatest night ever. It was awesome.
Those last minutes are the best. When the Hip came through and did their final set of Alberta dates, I went to one in Edmonton, and I'd planned to go to one in Edmonton and one in Calgary. And then the last night of the Calgary show, it was about 3 hours before the show, did the exact same thing. It was like $30 for an obstructed view. And I'm like, this last time I'm ever going to see this band. And that show, I was, never regret that.
Kelsey, she was like working for the people who own the arena in Vancouver. And so we got tickets to a lot of stuff. And but that Hip one I was going to go to anyway. But she's like, I got tickets through the company. I'm like, okay, but that means I'm going to weep in front of your coworkers. So get ready for that.
And did you?
Oh, yeah.
You weren't the only one.
No.
There was a lot of tears.
Man. Yeah. What a magical motherfucker. And those songs, like, that's my first non-Weird Al gig. So I call it like my first real gig. Was seeing the Hip when I was, 13. And yeah, it just kind of flipped a switch on me.
Wait a minute. A non-Weird Al gig?
I mean, you probably saw a children's concert or two.
Come on. Weird Al's pretty. I'd still go see Weird Al today.
Oh, it was amazing. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I was in grade 2. And I think the first thing he did was he walked on stage, he shot his keyboard player in the face, and that guy just lied dead for the whole show.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Just lied there. I think at the intermission, someone dragged him out, but the commitment was amazing there.
Okay, so the first Hip show, what tour would that have been then?
Fuck. Call it year 2000, something like that.
Okay, so music.
What would they have been touring?
Music at Work.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just unbelievable. And I also had never seen that many people smoking pot in my whole life, or maybe ever. And there was just this cloud coming up from the audience, and my parents were like, "This is drugs. You'll never forget that smell." And I went with my friend Tom Wyman, who I actually work with on movies out here sometimes. And my parents drove him home, and my dad walked him to the front door to be like, "Your son smells like drugs, not because we smoked drugs with him. Here's your son back."
That's awesome. I hope they believed him.
They didn't. There's no way.
Yeah, no, that would probably be a good answer for me for bands I never got to see that are not going to tour again. Maybe that's a good one. Tragically Hip.
You never saw the Hip either?
No.
Wow.
No.
That's upsetting.
It is upsetting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I never grabbed the magic.
Well, that's all right, man. You need not. But if you loved him, I wish you would have seen him,
But the thing, even if you didn't love, Gord was just so encapsulating live, right? Just the dancing with the microphone and all the extra shit that he'd do. And he'd work through lyrics for upcoming songs while they were doing shows, right? There'd be Gord's rants. And those would end up being, you'd hear those lyrics on future things. So even if you weren't a huge fan of the music, I think Gord still gave you a spectacle.
Fun. I feel like, I don't know if it's on a live record or when I saw him in Vancouver, but he's running around just screaming "Where's my cat? I can't find my cat." It's you're great, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about, but I like it.
I always wondered with him if that was just artistic freedom or if there were some narcotics involved.
I would think bit from column A, bit from column B, but he was a poetic dude, and I think the creative license to just be a menace on stage was irresistible.
Well, he also hung out a lot with Kids in the Hall dudes. He definitely had a pretty obscure to some comedic vision or interest, which it definitely sounds like in some of those rants and some of those exclamations and kind of performance features that he had. It definitely seems like that falls in the same line as those guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you lose yourself a little bit on stage too, right? I'm sure you could probably say the exact same thing. You get the crowd and the lights in front of you and you become a little bit of a different person.
Yeah, and it's like, and some of the best show, like same thing I was talking about before, like when it comes to like music and acting and surfing, it's like some of the best moments, you're so in it, you barely even remember it, and it's not because you're like drunk or out of your mind or something. It's just like you're so present that the world just kind of fades away a bit. So yeah, who knows if he has any idea what he's talking about. I gotta plug in this computer. Give me a sec.
Can you listen to music when you surf?
I would imagine.
I know there's
Why
people.
wouldn't you?
There's people with
How?
like waterproof headphones and stuff. I don't. But it's the same thing. Like I see people out there with like Apple Watches and stuff, and I'm like, I think you're missing the point, man.
Yeah, because I
don't bring a phone or anything.
I've never been surfing, but I gotta assume it's like pretty loud out there, especially if you're, if there's lots.
Just a bit, like on big days, but like 90% of it is you're just sitting there looking at the horizon.
Right.
It's like half the time I'm just looking at dolphins and pelicans and stuff, and it's like 3-foot waves, so it's like you're not gonna get hurt. You're just having a nice time.
Okay, what the hell is going on over here? Did you get a new water bottle?
Yeah.
What is it? It's a Lord of the Rings?
No, it's Shane from One Bad Son.
Oh.
That like his
yeah.
What's his cartoon called?
Nottingham.
That's from.
Yeah,
This is not from Nottingham. This is just some artwork that he had done.
Oh, cool.
So he put these
illustrations are amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. Is this like an OBS drawing or something totally different?
Just for his solo stuff.
And did he make that for you? Is it a special gift or is that merch?
That's merch.
Damn.
Pretty good, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had a very weird angle of it, so I didn't know what it was.
It does. It has a little bit of that Lord of the Rings kind of
cool
feel to it.
And someone hit the deck from that band this week. Is it Hicks?
Hicks decided to hang up the 6 string.
Yeah, that's heavy, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy. That band was a unit, but things got to change, and that's a long. Whatever. That was like 17 years, didn't he say?
Yeah, I think it.
We
Yeah,
had Kurt
17.
We had Kurt on the show a couple months ago, and it definitely seems like it's been a long.
I would say
time.
probably pretty close to 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. That dude is a menace on guitar. So much fun.
Yeah,
But are they going to wrap things up with him? Is that they don't know? They don't know.
I don't know.
The announcement didn't sound like a breakup. Just sounded like someone leaving. So it's tough to tell, man.
You know what? Like when a band is over.
Yeah, it's like. It just depends. I'm sure there's a million conversations happening in private, and we'll never hear them, But either way, I've met them a couple times. They're really good people. So,
how do we get those conversations? That's what I want to know from you.
You really want to get in those
How do we
conversations?
get in these private conversations?
You want to be that fly on the wall.
Yeah, God damn it. I want to be the fly.
I think you got to start a band, dude. You just got to start a band and start fighting with some people for a few years.
We should do
Live
that.
in a van for like a long period of time in the winter and just film it all.
Yeah, dude, make our own version of Saint Anger.
But
I
twice,
just watched that for the first time.
For the first time?
I've
First
only
time.
ever
Did you
seen
laugh?
clips.
Did you laugh a lot?
I had a couple giggles, but I was more impressed with like how seriously they took the therapy, because like they'd be yelling at each other and someone would be like, well, what I'm hearing you're saying is, and I'm like, good for you.
But wait, didn't they kick him out?
Yeah, because he was kind of trying to be a band member.
Yeah, he was like the unofficial, 5th or 6th member at the time, because
And who was
Saint
it?
Anger is when they auditioned Trujillo, right?
Robert.
Yeah, and man, that movie, I haven't watched it in a few years, but I definitely try to watch it like a comedy.
Yeah,
It makes me laugh a lot.
You can certainly laugh a bunch, but I kind of respected it. Just like even like Lars, whatever, selling like $10 million worth of paintings to like a orchestral version of Master of Puppets. It's like, this is who this dude is, and he's just being himself. And
I did love how
don't have to like
transparent
him.
it seemed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, what a risky thing to be like, we're this big because we're scary and cool. Let's drop both those things and see if people still like us.
Yeah. And drop, guitar solos and incorporate this kind of bullshit snare sound.
Oh, snare sound must haunt people forever.
Honestly, some of the songs on that album aren't the worst, but it's that
No,
you
it
can't
was
get
just
past
like-
that snare sound.
Yeah, it's just like, and especially when it bubbled up to critical mass, the criticism of it, then you're never gonna get beyond it.
Man, I kind of want to watch that movie again.
Do it.
Maybe this will start a deep dive into band documentaries.
And I love too how like Ozzy and Metallica just swapped bass players, right? Because Jason went and played for Ozzy for a couple of years after that, and Robert joined up, and that man's he's a menace. I just love. He's so fun to watch live
He
too.
is so fun.
Yeah,
Just
very much.
that hunch over stance is amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. So you just watched anything else you've been digging into lately, music wise, movie wise?
I made the mistake of like trying like 6 months ago when there was no concerts that existed anywhere. I tried to watch Almost Famous, and I was just like, this is too real. I want to go on tour so bad. I can't actually watch this.
Okay.
No.
You want to jump off a roof into a pool? Is that? Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So no, I've just been like crushing live concerts and a lot of stand up. Sam J is like my favorite new comedian on the planet, man.
Sam J?
Yeah, she has like an HBO show too. It's perfect. It's called Pause with Sam J, but she's great.
Okay, very cool. Check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, what about you? Are there like records that you've had in your life that sound different to you now that you spent a year in your house?
It's funny because we were just chatting with Liam Cormier from the Cancer Bats about 2 weeks ago, and he brought up a band that I hadn't listened to in probably like close to 10 years, 4 years strong. So I've been listening to them quite a bit in the last week, which has been really funny. Because, again, that's something that I listened to a lot as a teenager. And some of it holds up. But
yeah, the teenager stuff, like, it's just hard. I don't know.
It's tough.
Maybe if you're like a really cool teenager, fucking good for you. But I'm not proud of lots of the shit I listened to back then.
Do you remember a song or a band that you were convinced was the best ever from when you were a teenager? That may not be an obvious one.
The best. I don't know. What's on your mind?
I don't know. I just like.
What says it to you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that same thing the last couple of weeks as all this music that, I listened to as a kid that I just can't even stand now. I can't bear to tune in.
Well, what we would do on tours sometimes, we'd have like the Ipod Olympics.
Okay.
So basically, like you'd pass the aux cord and you'd shuffle your phone, and you'd get basically voted yay or nay, and you get to go 3 songs max, and then there would be a playoff round, and we would do this for like months at a time.
That's amazing.
But the issue is I had all my music from like 13 to 30 on there, including like the worst stuff I've ever liked that I don't even listen to anymore to like all the new stuff. And then Brittany Willesee, I'm talking about like Head of the Herd days, she just had the coolest classic rock albums of all time and nothing else. So like every time she won. It's
a stacked team of vets.
Yeah, it's just like Beatles, Stones, Elton, bam, get out of here. And then I'll be playing it, and then just like, I don't want to shit on anybody, but you know what I'm talking about. Something real bad that we all used to listen to and come on that we maybe now know differently.
Did we not establish already that this is what Patrick wants?
Yeah.
No.
Shit talking.
Despite where I am, I'm still too Canadian to do it on the air. I'll call you back right after.
Yeah.
Man, I'd honestly like even the stuff I listened to as a kid, because I don't have any shame. I don't. Stuff I listened to at 13. I was a big Duran Duran fan. I loved Duran Duran.
Oh, Duran Duran
was probably one of my first favorite bands.
Are they bad though? Like, are they considered a bad band now? I don't think they are.
I don't think they aged poorly, man.
Okay, well, good.
I think they're kind of.
That.
I think they're kind of still. I don't think they're ever like.
Do you know that scene from Layer Cake?
Yeah.
To Ordinary World, when he's bashing the guy with the teapot. Oh my God, that's one of the best music placements in film. That's like perfect.
I
Watch
think,
that again.
Yeah, we maybe we should start building lists of the music we're fucking ashamed of.
That's a whole different podcast. But I think, let me show up with like blurred face. It'll be the exact same background, so like you'll know.
We'll know.
Yeah, we'll blur the faces. We'll pitch the voices. No one will ever know it's you until the very last split second when all of that disappears, and we can just clear space.
Yeah, just the blur
your face.
will only be here, and I'll just like move.
Yeah, that's we should start when we're booking band interviews, we should say, hey,
guilty pleasures.
We're excited to talk to you, but also bring something that you're ashamed of. Music wise.
What's your home address to list your fears and shames?
And social insurance numbers.
Yeah. Well, someday we will gather around this very table, perhaps, and we'll
sounds like a dream, man.
We'll continue this conversation.
We didn't even
and you will come prepared with that list of shameful
We didn't even
songs.
get a chance to talk about our dogs. We'll do that when you're in town. Will you take the dog on tour? What do you do with your dog?
It's a tough one. If I had extra hands, I would. But also, like, my wife would be lonely. She loves this little thing too. On that note, Stringer. Get her.
Oh, a Stringer there?
Stringer?
Oh, yeah.
Stringer?
Oh, this amazing dog.
Is there a reason you named the dog Stringer?
Well, you know, like Idris Elba from The Wire.
Is this a Wire reference for real?
He's very handsome. He's very intelligent. It just made sense.
Are you serious? Oh man, I'm like, can I have the dog?
Oh, he's heavy though. He's a big boy.
Look at that guy. Hey, Stringer.
There you go. He's pretty confused. He's just like, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing?"
Beautiful. Game is the game.
Yeah, he's heard every song I know. He's sick of it. That's why I need to write some new ones.
And that was your companion while you were out in Joshua Tree.
Yeah, he was great, man. He's the star of the "I'm Right Here" video.
That's
right.
He is indeed.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous that you got to have that kind of illusion of your dog riding sidecar as your dog rides a motorcycle. I'm gonna dream about that tonight.
Dude, I laughed so hard the first time Greg sent me like the rough cut of the animation where like he's on the motorbike, he just looks over and smiles. I was like, I don't care what you do after this, man. It's perfect. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, Pete, anything else?
No, I think I can't wait to do it face to face again. Get you guys back on
fellas,
that
I miss
stage.
you, but I'm so glad we got to actually talk, and I just hope I roll through Red Deer soon. Even like whatever, next time I go home, I'll just zip up and say hey anyway. But
Have you still got family in Calgary? Have you got connections there at all? Yeah.
Almost all my people are there, so I go home whenever I can.
Come up, man. We'll show you the studio, get you on the green screen. It'll be fun.
Sounds good, fellas.
All right, man. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Neu.
Okay, cheers.
Peace.
See you.
See you, man.
All right. Neu.
Such a good dude and a surfer dude. How does a guy from Calgary become such a surfer dude?
Calgary, Vancouver. I mean, probably is West Coast living as well. That would help. I mean, it sounds like he was in California a lot growing up. So how couldn't you, I suppose?
And just a huge music fan. That's one thing. Him and I have had so many conversations over the years where we just like sit and talk music for an hour.
Yeah, no, sorry, man. God damn it.
It's okay, dude.
My allergies.
It's another great episode. Just let it out.
No, I don't even have to sneeze.
Let all the emotions go.
Okay. All right. Sorry. What a great dude you said.
Wow.
What a great dude you said.
Great dude. He's a great dude.
I've met him once before, I think. It's a nice chat back then. But yeah, super nice guy. I cannot believe his dog is named Stringer. That is friggin' incredible.
Amazing dog too.
It's actually that's I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna tell my girlfriend that, and then we're gonna start brainstorming how we can start naming all of our future pets after characters from The Wire. So shout out to Neu for that.
You had the opportunity not that long ago. What Freddie's name came from where?
Freddie Anderson from the Toronto Maple Leafs goalie. A lot of people think it's Freddie Mercury. No, it is not. It is not. It is a hockey reference.
I'm going to pretend in my head it's Freddie Mercury.
Well, sorry to say it is not. All right. Well, what do we got? We got an exciting couple weeks ahead. We're both going on vacations, but we're still going to be dropping episodes of The Road to the Stage.
We've got some great guests lined up. Like, you think summer has a bit of a lull to it, but no, we've got some phenomenal stuff lined up and ready to go. As always, if you haven't checked out previous episodes, go back and have a listen to the first dozen plus that we've done.
Yeah, Baker's 13 and 12 or something. I think
like
they
that,
call it. And rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcast, which I think the only place you can rate and review a podcast is on Apple, right? We've decided that.
Does Google not have a? I don't know about Google.
No, I don't
know
think so.
Spotify. No.
Smash
the subscribe button on the Bose Barn Stage
Please
YouTube,
do that,
and there's a whole bunch more content cooking for that as well.
And check out the Side Road Sessions on the Bose Barn Stage YouTube channel as well. All right.
We'll be back at it every episode. Every
episode. Every Wednesday.
Just give me have another swig of this sawback.
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Bose Barn Stage.